Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. On today's episode of Garage Noise, we're going to finish up the Corvette repair by doing the SMC fiberglass repair on the door. We'll prime it, paint it, clear it, get it ready for delivery. Stay tuned for the transformation. Okay, so what we have right here is we have some cracking in the fiberglass. This is the SMC fiberglass. This is made out of the sheet molded compound. And there's some spider cracking, so we need to grind a V in this cracked area, gradually grind it out a little bit so it creates a little concaved area, and then we're going to fill that with fiberglass resin. So let's get started on that. Okay, so I mixed up some Proform SMC fiberglass resin. I've got some matting here, and we're gonna fill these cracks. First we wanna brush on some resin, get a good coat of resin on here. It will run if you're not careful, so you just wanna get a good base coat on there. So I'm going to do the square first, and then I'm just going to pick it up with my brush, if I can get it. Okay, so, and then I'm going to just lay it in there. Right in there. Okay, so I got all this fiberglass resin in with the matting. I'm gonna go ahead and start sanding this and prepping this out for the SMC body filler that we're gonna use, a thin coat of body filler on it. Got the outside here, we need to take care of it, and then this. So this is on the agenda for right now. Get this done, get it in primer, and get it ready to paint. Okay, so I used a few different things to sand this fiberglass resin. I used the orbital sander with 80 grit on it to the areas I could get in, and then I hand sanded it with this little foam block with 80 grit. I also used the grinder to knock off the heavy stuff right at the beginning, and it seems to be working well. I'm gonna clean this up and lay in some SMC filler. We don't wanna use prep solvent on this because you don't want that solvent to soak into the fiberglass. So we just need to blow it off, tack rag it, and get it clean for the filler. Okay, now that we have this all sanded, I sanded it with 80 and then I went over it with 180 to remove those 80 grit scratches, but we're gonna put a little bit of icing over it. It needs a thin coat. It's got a little low area right here. So we're gonna put a thin coat of icing over it, block it, and then it'll be ready for primer. And then also, we're gonna put a thin coat over this rocker right here, just to get all those scratches filled, the deep scratches filled. I went ahead and blocked it with 180. In the jam, there's gonna be some areas that need a little bit of icing. But what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna sand this all with 320 and then put a good coat of primer over it to seal that fiberglass. And then we'll put some icing over it because I don't wanna get a bunch of icing in here, and I've got this pretty well shaped, but there's just a couple low areas and I don't want to be sanding all that icing out. It's difficult to sand in there and block it straight. So let's lay this icing in. Okay, now I'm gonna do a final sand on this primer area. I might have to spray a little bit of primer in there after I've sanded, but I'm gonna sand that primer, get that ready for paint, and get this rocker ready for paint. So let's do that now. Okay, so before we leave for the day, we're gonna paint this jam. It had some cracked fiberglass in here that we repaired. We're gonna blend it in. I folded over a piece of tape. I rolled this edge so a little bit of clear goes around that lip and that edge, and then we can polish it out nice and clean after we're done. It's really noisy in here. I'm sorry about that. It's really raining very hard, and this is a tin roof, so that's what we're gonna do. We're taping up this door. I got my helper here taping up, and we're going to blow in this jam right here as well. So that way, tomorrow when we go to paint this Corvette, we'll have all the jams done. We can use some foam tape in the jams and then spray just the outside. All right, so let's get it done. Okay, so I went ahead and I just painted this quarter panel. I was cutting it in, getting inside the jam here, and I just decided to go ahead and spray it since I had it off, and I wanted to see how close the color was. And if you can see, the color's pretty close, but it doesn't really show up on camera. It's just a little bit off. So we're gonna blend into the deck lid. We're gonna blend into the hood, and that fender is with one of the old colors, so I'm gonna respray that. But I got this jam all done, so it's all repaired. You see in there? I put it back together. Of course, it all needs cleaned up. I took this door panel off, and then we repaired in there and painted the jam in there, and then this needs to be bolted up still. So it's coming along, but I have a lot of work ahead of me. We're gonna paint it today, the entire thing. So what I'm gonna do is 600 this hood. We repaired some chips in this hood. I'm gonna repair a couple more, sanding this down with 600 so we can just blend the color here after we repair the chips, and then clear this entire hood. Also, the bumper cover has a couple chips on it, so we're gonna repair those and then repaint that bumper cover. Let's get back at it and finish this vet up. Okay, so I've got this Corvette all taped off. I'm blending into the hatch, the rear bumper. I rolled the edge on that rear bumper. It's got a nice edge there where I can roll and blend the clear. So blending into the hood, repainting this fender off the car. Let's get spraying. Okay, so now that we got this Corvette all painted and ready to wet sand and buff, we're going to remove any imperfections in the paint and then get it ready to deliver. Let's get after it. Okay, so now we have the vet all color sanded with 2000 grit sandpaper. I did that on the orbital sander, and then I went over it with 3000 and then 5000 as well. So if you can see, it almost has like a little shine to it. So it should be easier to polish. I've went ahead and I've already buffed this door. So let's go ahead and get the rest of this vet polished out. I'll put it together and I'll show you the finished product. Show you inside the door. The repair we did is a little dusty. Dust gets on this very easily, but there's the repair inside here. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the finished vet. You can see the headlight's been replaced. We replaced the fender, painted it, blended into the hood. It has a nice gloss, nice finish, all polished out. This vet looks like it's ready to do 120 down the highway, but stay away from the deer. Hey, listen up. Do me a favor. Like, subscribe, and share this video. I appreciate you watching, and if you want to build your skill and increase your knowledge, start now, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.